loud sound that seemed to fade. Came back like a slow voice on a wave of fate. That were no DJ, that was hazy cosmic jive. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it, 'cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it, let the children use it, let all the children boogie. I had to phone someone, so I picked on you. Oh, oh, hey, that's far out. So you heard him too. Oh, oh, switch on the TV. We may pick him up on channel 2. Look out your window, I can see his light. If we can sparkle, he may land tonight. Don't tell your papa, or he'll get us locked up in fights. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it, 'cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it, let the children use it, let all the children boogie. Starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it, 'cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it, let the children use it, let all the children boogie.
No one ever tells me that, Heather. I like that. All right, Scott, you tell me when it's time. All right. So, do I need to give you a sign to start the... Okay, the mic's on. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be speaking with you this morning. Though this is not the opening day I was hoping for. I had visions of getting together at the Arts Center, having breakfast, music, time to catch up with some of you, and to feel the energy you all bring to the auditorium when we are here together. But I have to say I am very happy that Aaron Gauthier and Bruce Farr are here this morning, because that helps me remember what it looks like to have you all here. This has been a year for the record books. Not since 1918 have we seen anything like this in the United States. As you may all know, there is very little disagreement among teachers, parents, or district officials regarding how schools should reopen. Some believe that we should be fully remote, others fully person-to-person, and although the overall majority support hybrid opening, there's nothing close to a consensus. It's been important for me to remember, while taking into account the various options on these matters, the thoughts behind some of these feelings. A colleague of mine sent me something that I'll paraphrase for you that was a lovely reminder of why people think differently and advocate for different courses of action with the same set of facts. And here we go. For every child who is anxious to get back to the classroom, there is another who has anxiety about returning. For every parent who wonders, how am I going to manage this? There's a teacher wondering, how am I going to manage this? Often, a person has both titles. For every kindergarten parent who is sad that this is how their child will begin their education, there's a parent of a senior who is disappointed that this is how their child will end theirs. For every person angry about their child having to wear a mask and concerned about their civil liberties, there is a person who is petrified that their immune-compromised family member will get ill. Life has certainly thrown us a huge curveball. I understand we all have situations, reasons for our feelings, and of course, different levels of risk tolerance. And yes, we will be challenged this year. We will get frustrated. I also know that we will rise to the occasion. I know we will help one another. I know we will treat each other with grace. I know that you will see the good. You will be the light that our kids need you to be, and you will set the tone. Why am I so sure of this? Have you ever heard the phrase, past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior? In my experience, I've found this proved to be true. I've worked with most of you for many years now, and collectively, you have never failed to rise to the occasion. As I have so often said recently, we're building the airplane while we were flying it this past spring. And yet, you did an unbelievable job. Your work last year was incredible. You created virtual lessons. You built relationships with the whole family because you were assisting parents. You provided laptops and hotspots. You learned Zoom and Google, Edpuzzle, and much more. You provided remote counseling and nursing services. You provided food for anyone in the community who needed it. You made phone calls. You sent letters. You had car parades and late-night office hours. You continued to clean our schools and take care of our buses and to drive whomever to wherever was needed. Most importantly, you kept the connections with your students strong. And I know you were exhausted. That old saying, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, is true. It is the collective character of the Governor Wentworth and Middleton staff that lifts us up. It is your strong drive to serve the students and families always, including in times of crisis, that sets you apart from others. I can already look at this year and see 2 different systems of educating our students that have been developed since beginning the process October 4th, which is really incredible when you think about it, and here we are at September 1st, less than a month. This has been an incredible accomplishment by our hardworking and capable administrators. What you have all accomplished is really amazing, and I'm very grateful to you. I can't say thank you enough. and I hope you know that the community is grateful to you also. Parents have been involved in schools in ways they have never been before. Many now understand some of the challenges you face every day, including the challenges that come from their own children. They realize more so than in the past what managing behavior and planning lessons entail. I heard many parents say, many times in the spring, "I don't know how to do this. I'm not a teacher." There is a renewed respect and appreciation for the art and science of teaching. Recently, I've seen some quotes from parents that demonstrate this. So, first one is, "My son's teacher just broke down crying on Zoom today, talking about how much she cares and misses the kids." We seriously need to pay teachers more. And then, "Dear Mrs. C, obviously we missed the opportunity for virtual parents' evening, but I wanted to ask you whether you generally find Olivia very difficult, disruptive, unruly, and stubborn, or does she reserve all these endearing qualities for me?" Primary teachers, you'll appreciate this one. "God bless my son's teacher for having show and tell every day and sounding very impressed with every random and ridiculous thing they bring in to discuss." You'll be listening to John Wortman on Thursday. I think you'll enjoy John very much. He will be providing you with some suggestions to help you build resilience. Though resilience and self-care have been topics during previous district openings, it has never been more important as it is right now. You may also want to dust off Adam Sayen's book, The Power of a Teacher, from our opening day a few years ago, which has some great suggestions for managing stress and building resilience. I recently read an article in the Journal of American Medicine, which I've been doing a lot more reading in medical journals these days. But this article was titled, "Cultivating Deliberate Resilience During the Coronavirus Disease 2019 Pandemic." Certainly a very timely article. To make a long article short, essentially the conclusion is that the process of resilience requires deliberate action. While the actions each person takes will be very individual, the critical factor is being deliberate about building your resilience. For several years now, I've been running each morning. It's the one thing that I commit to every day because I know it helps me manage stress more effectively. If you don't already have a practice that works for you, I hope that you will consider some of the strategies John will be talking about with you and find one that helps you reduce your stress and build your resilience. It's a lot harder to adjust to adversity and to take care of others when you're not taking care of yourself. So I hope you will all really think about that and really make an effort to take care of yourselves. So what will the COVID legacy be? And another quote that I found on the internet from parents that I found pretty funny, 25 years from now, kids everywhere will be saying, "I remember the spring of 2020 when I learned how much liquor it requires to be a parent." After reading that, though it's funny, I seriously wondered, what will people be saying about education during the pandemic in 25 years? Will we have ushered in a new world of education which gives families and students more flexibility? Will we have new and better ways to teach students as we learn things about delivering remote education? How will we remember this time? What will our legacy be? As tough as these few months have been, I would not have wanted to miss them. It has been difficult, absolutely. But this is also one of the most exciting and interesting times in educational history. I don't think our schools are ever going to be the same, and I believe and hope they will be better. Our children have experienced considerable hardship and disruption in their lives this year, and I wonder what they will remember. Will they remember this as a time of profound meaning for them? Will this time have revealed to them what is truly important in their lives? Their connections with other people and a strong sense of community and sense of belonging? I think so. I think so because they've had you during this time. Though I know this year is going to be challenging in some ways, I hope it is a year that provides you with a sense of belongingness and community, and that is also an exciting year that opens up new horizons and new understandings for you. I hope you have a great year. A small but mighty audience.
Appropriate behavior. Good morning. Last year, for those of you who were here with us, you may recall I talked about the song A Better Boat that had been written by a man named Travis Meadows and most famously performed by Kenny Chesney. Part of the refrain I shared with you then was this: I breathe in, I breathe out. Now and then, I let it go. I ride the waves I can't control. I'm learning how to build a better boat. No one could ever have imagined that the waves we can't control would come months later in the form of a worldwide pandemic, and that the better boat we were building would have to be abandoned for a lifeboat in the form of a stay-at-home order. Everyone took a collective deep breath in, though, and got right back to work, building something different on that boat. While not much of the boat looked familiar to us, you didn't skip a beat, making sure kids were safe, fed, cared for, celebrated, supported, and educated. As your professional lives took a 180-degree turn without warning, we witnessed continued creativity, humor, and kindness toward your students, families, and one another. And while you didn't need to wear a mask for our remote learning in the spring, I am certain there were times when you were masking many real emotions. Maybe it was fear, sadness, anger, anxiety, hopelessness. But to your students, you remained a constant and steady force. You were encouraging, understanding, and hopeful. Instead of fighting the waves you couldn't control, you simply figured out how to sail a new and different boat. There is so much that is still not in our control. You don't need me to tell you that. But in the midst of the unknown, we can continue to work together, to lean on each other, to do the very best we can for our students and our families. Because what is known is that they need us and we need each other. And so we rise up and figure out how to be there for them, whether it's in person or remotely, because that is what we do and that is who we are. Over these past several months, I've drawn upon every possible source of inspiration and grounding I could find. I revisited old familiar books because I already knew the ending. I read the book about Mr. Rogers that my oldest son gave me for Christmas. I counted my blessings to be able to have my family with me each and every day, healthy and safe, and I said a prayer for those who could not. I listened to Lynn Lyons and Corey Mascara's podcasts, and I used my Calm app an awful lot. So much so that even to just look at the app icon on my phone now, I immediately take a big, deep breath. Getting reacquainted with my office again recently, I opened the inside door of the cabinet to get something, and there I found a copy of a blog post called When the Going Gets Tough. And no, Kathy and I had no idea what the other had written before this morning. But that column had been hanging in my cabinet since February of 2015. It was written by New Hampshire author Katrina Kennison, who also wrote The Gift of an Ordinary Day, a treasured book I first read when my children were young, and I'm so glad that I did. Ordinary days, remember those? And so I thought I would share Katrina's words with you today, hoping they may give you some strength during these most extraordinary days. Here they are. When the going gets tough, may I resist my first impulse to wade in, fix, explain, resolve, and restore. May I sit down instead. When the going gets tough, may I be quiet. May I steep for a while in stillness. When the going gets tough, may I have faith that things are unfolding as they are meant to. May I remember that my life is what it is, not what I ask for. May I find the strength to bear it, the grace to accept it, the faith to embrace it. When the going gets tough, may I practice with what I'm given rather than wish for something else. When the going gets tough, may I assume nothing. May I not take it personally. May I opt for trust over doubt, compassion over suspicion, vulnerability over vengeance. When the going gets tough, may I open my heart before I open my mouth. When the going gets tough, may I be the first to apologize. May I leave it at that. May I bend with all my being toward forgiveness. When the going gets tough, may I look for a door to step through rather than a wall to hide behind. When the going gets tough, may I turn my gaze up to the sky above my head rather than down to the mess at my feet. May I count my blessings. When the going gets tough, may I pause, reach out a hand, and make the way easier for someone else. When the going gets tough, may I remember I'm not alone. May I be kind. When the going gets tough, may I choose love over fear every time. I appreciated rereading those words more than ever this week. My wish for you in the days to come is that you too remember that you are not alone. We are all in this together, and together we will continue to navigate some choppy waters. But more than anything, let us remain ever hopeful for those calmer seas ahead. I hope the year keeps you and your loved ones healthy and safe. Go shine your light. Thank you.
We will both look forward to seeing you in the coming days, and we will be around to the buildings, opening days as usual. But I think both of us want to thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for everything that you've done and for everything that we know that you will do in the coming months.
Have a great year.
Good morning. I feel like I'm at back to school night with parents sitting out there. I've said to a few people this morning, this is the first time that we've gotten together as a faculty since March. I'm nervous this morning, I'm not going to lie. It's great to see you. There's a comfort in seeing you here today. It's nice to have some sense of normalcy, although looking back, everybody looking at me right now, all has wearing a mask, which is something a little different than we've experienced before. I can tell you I have a responsibility today to go through a few things related to COVID and some precautions we're taking here at the high school. I'm not going to focus the entire meeting on COVID-19. Okay, we're here to do a job, and our job is to welcome students back to our building in over a week. And that's why we're in this profession, is for students. So we'll do what we have to do today and talk about some of the changes. I can tell you we worked extremely hard this summer trying to come up with a plan to safely open our buildings and make decisions that were difficult at times. I have amazing co-workers this summer that have worked with me. I'd like to thank Laura Crane for her amazing work. And Grady Charlin from working with me this summer and working things out. As you know, it has not been a small task, and it's still a work in progress. And I think one thing we've learned since March, what you plan for tomorrow may change before you leave today. And I think that's one of the things as we walk back into our school today, we cannot think of school how it was when we left in March. It is no longer the same. People here are the same. There's comfort in our colleagues. We work together, and I think that's the most important thing. I'm going to introduce our new staff in a moment, but just a few more things is none of us have ever done this before. For the most experienced educators sitting out there today, experienced administrators, we have an intern, which I'll introduce you to in a moment. We're all on an equal playing field. We've never done this. So we're all new teachers. Remember that anxiety we felt some of us sitting in here in our first year being hired, and how nervous we were to stand up when they asked how many years of experience you've had. And we stand up, and Mr. Struble is always standing at the end. And I'm sure if we did that today, we'd be in that same predicament. But we're all first-year teachers. We're all first-year administrators. And we're going to roll out a plan, and we'll share that with you today to do the best we can for kids. And I'm confident in that. And I'm confident that it will get better each day. And we'll get to a point where we welcome everybody back, hopefully by the second semester, safely. So that's enough for COVID-19 for me. What I really like to do is start off by welcoming our new staff. And we have significant amount of new staff this year, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've met some of them for the first time face-to-face, because all our interviews were Google Meets, and I walked by them, I'm like, who's that? But we hired them, and so I'm excited to introduce. And I'd like to start by welcoming Grady Charlin as our assistant principal. I warned him that I will make fun of him a little bit today, but not yet. And student coordinator who's taken Mr. Charlin's position is Joanne Baker. I'm pleased to have her there. We have two new Spanish teachers in the world language department. If you could just stand and wave. It's Alyssa Quinatoa. We have Heather Holmes. Some of you will recognize this name. He was a student of ours 5 years ago. Brendan Donahue for history. We have a new English teacher coming to us from Spalding High School, which is my alma mater, Bree Famulari. We have an English intern who will be interning this year with Katie St. Hilaire, and that is Griffin Nyan. Some of you will recognize this name as well. We'll be teaching from Mr. Wilson, and that is Chris Nelson. We have Nathan Whitworth coming to us from the middle school, who transferred over to the Woods department. I'm really pleased to announce we were able to add an extra position in the art department, so we have 3 art teachers now. And this art teacher is coming to us from Middleton Elementary School, and is Emma McGowan. We have a new school resource officer this year who we've worked with on different situations over the year, and I'm really excited to have her with us. I think she's a perfect fit for this campus, and that is Officer Mary Devine. We have a special educator that will be joining us this year, and her name is Kelly Mask. We have some support staff that have changed positions and some additional support staff. Courtney Colligan is now Courtney Frank, and she is taking Miss Bell's position, so she'll be the attendance secretary. We have Kaylin Dean coming over to the high school from the middle school as a paraprofessional. And some of you will recognize this name because she worked for the payroll office for many years. Everybody knows who the payroll person is. She'll be joining the special ed secretary, and that is Barb Melnick. So as you can see, we have a significant amount of new staff, and I'd like to welcome you to Kingswood Regional High School, and we're pleased to have you. And it's always a pleasure to take part in the interview process here at Kingswood because we have such quality applicants. So we are able to offer a candidate a position. We are rest assured that it's high quality, and they were chosen out of a long list of real qualified candidates. So we're pleased to have you and welcome, and introduce yourself to me face to face. I've only seen you through a screen. I'd be happy to spend some time talking with you over the next couple days. So as we move forward through this morning, you received the SAU schedule for the next 2 weeks. You also received my schedule for the next 2 weeks. And I think the people who have worked with me for years know I'm not a big person to hold meetings unless we need to have a meeting. But I think if you look at our schedule these next 2 weeks, there's several opportunities for us to gather as faculty. And I think it's important as we work forward to the opening of school that we have opportunity to get together, ask questions, have an opportunity just to clarify some of those things. We're still working on some issues that need to be squared away before we open school, and we will do our best to answer your questions and make sure that you're comfortable for students returning. So that being said, I'm gonna talk a little bit about a hybrid schedule. And we had talked about school not being the same. It's not going to be the same, but what is the same is students being in front of us. And I know that you know how to do that. And that's the most important piece, is those connections with kids and providing them an opportunity to be back in school. So is the hybrid schedule behind me, Mr. Shallon? So I'm going to step over to the side. As you can see, the Monday, Group A, and we will be consistent in calling it Cohort A and Cohort B. For that language is throughout the district. I want to say I'm extremely thankful to our middle school as well as our elementary schools. We set the parameters for how we divide our students, and they've done an outstanding job assigning the elementary school kids on the same days that their older siblings are with us. So we've had a few hiccups along the way, but there's been a lot of thought that's gone into this. Knowing Laura, when she left in June, she already built the schedule at 50%, not knowing where we're going to be, and we've kind of stuck to that. We've been very strict as far as trying not to accommodate too many changes. There are some legitimate ones that we will have to still work on. But Monday, Group A, Monday and Tuesday, last name A through I, so when you receive your class roster, you'll know who will be in your classes, A through I. Monday morning in A block, we will be passing out Chromebooks to our students. We'll be passing out Chromebooks to all our students, and then we'll be bringing them back and forth. Karen Libby has worked tirelessly all summer, inventorying them all, coding them all. We've got nice gray bags that say Kingswood Nights on them for the students to take with them. So they will be issued their Chromebooks Monday morning. Ninth graders will get theirs on Jumpstart. Task, has it looked in the past, will look different. Monday was always the scheduling day, and then we scheduled them out for the rest of the week. So on Monday, Your A block class will report to task. If you have a split class, A block or B block, we will send you out a calendar of when they will be coming to you during task. B block, you will receive your B block students during task as well. So we're not moving around in scheduling. Thursday and Friday, that will be A block and B block. The following week, we'll go to C and D, and you see how that pattern goes as we move forward. It gives you extra time with your students every other week with a particular group of kids. So Wednesday, there's been a lot of discussion on what Wednesday is going to look like. And I'm pretty pleased with the schedule they're able to give to you for Wednesday, being respectful of your time, knowing that these challenges of scheduling and planning is a lot. And we've tried to maintain the integrity of our schedule. But our Kingswood hybrid schedule on Wednesday, it is instructional time in the morning. And this is what your schedule will look like. We are required to make contact with all our students, teachers, during that hybrid schedule. This would be the time when I make fun of Mr. Charlin. So as you can see, you will have that letter went to you last week that we had sent to parents. This is your Wednesday schedule. So as you can tell, at 12 p.m., you are done with live contact with your students. The rest of that day, if you need to follow up with students, if you need to plan, if you need to do things to make your life easier and for better for the students for the rest of that day. Okay, and I think that's something that's important. Understanding what we're doing is different, and we've never done this before. So that time is there for you to work, and as well as prepare yourself for the next group of students that are coming in on Thursday and Friday. We will be following a traditional bell schedule as close as possible. One of the curveballs, as I tell you, they come in daily, is our lunch waves. We need time to clean. So with a smaller population of students, there's a possibility we'll go from 4 lunches to 3 lunches with 15 minutes in between each lunch, so the areas can be cleaned. Right now, our lunches will be served in the cafeteria as well as the practice gym and possibly half of the varsity gym, because we may need to separate by 12 feet because there'll be no mask in the cafeteria while they're eating. So there's a few of those things that we will work out between now and the 14th. The good thing about Jumpstart, and I'll talk about that in a moment, is it gives us a nice small group of students to give us a trial run and find out where our flaws are and where we can do a better job. So that will be information will be coming to you in a moment. So that's your Wednesday schedule. Your Monday and Tuesday schedule will be the same on Thursday and Friday. That was up there. But it's important that we refer to them as Cohort A and Cohort B, so we're not confusing them, so it's consistent language throughout the district. A through I and J through Z. You may have 4 students on Monday and Tuesday, and you may have 12 on Thursday and Friday. When we say 50%, it's not 50% down the middle, and I'm not quite sure how you could possibly do that in a high school this size. So we've done our best to balance it as best we can. Okay? I think it's important when you meet with your academic coordinators and department heads today, take a look at your roster. If you see an anomaly where A through I looks like you got 16, we've tried to account for everything, but we make mistakes, and we need to know that, okay? If you just double check your rosters so we can make adjustments to that schedule, or even if we have other spaces that can be used. We have a practice gym, like I said, is also set up could be up to 3 classrooms if we needed it to, as well as half of the varsity gym. Not that it's ideal, but I think some of you remember when we built this building first, we had dividers, we had 20 classrooms in here. So we can be creative if we need to. I'm hoping to maintain you in your traditional classroom. One of the things that we fought hard for this year, Laura fought hard, giving me some of the words to use. I'm always thankful for those words, Laura. But I think it's important that we've maintained the integrity of our schedule, not only for you, for our students. And program, which I'll talk to in a moment, is it allows us, our students, to earn credits as close to traditional as Kingswood High School offers. There was much conversation of scrapping our schedule and rebuilding that. From my perspective, teachers have been working all summer knowing their course offerings and what they're going to be teaching. To say to you now, last week, oh, by the way, you're not teaching that, you're going to be teaching this. I think it's important that we were able to maintain that schedule. And it also keeps us on track for second semester, because we don't know what second semester is going to look like, but we do know what hopefully what the 14th will look like, and we can build that schedule. So I'm thankful we were able to accomplish that. I don't think people understand that high school is a little different than K through 8. For every one student, there's 4 teachers, and sometimes more. So when you change one, it affects numerous other people, as well as you average about 72 students. So scrapping that would have been a nightmare. So I'm pleased to announce that we're able to keep our schedule intact, and you're teaching what is on your schedule. So just to give you a quick update, we have 125 students as of right now that are 100% virtual. Your responsibility for those students does not exist. If they were on your class roster, we're taking them out. Are they out? They're out. So they will not be on your class rosters. Okay? They are committed to 1 semester of 100% virtual students. Special education may look a little different, and they're working on that individually. So they will be able to return second semester and keep their schedule intact based on EduSeer, which offers really what we did was submit our program of studies, and they were able to match it for the most part for our students. So it maintains the integrity of our schedule, and their semester ends when our semester ends. So students will have a choice to come back to Kingswood second semester if they choose to. And who knows what that, like I said, who knows what that will look like at that point. So I think that's important. They are no longer in your class, and we will be monitoring them separately outside of what your responsibility is. So 125, we've done a lot of surveys trying to get feedback from parents and trying to chase people down. We've made hundreds of phone calls to families that didn't respond, and we were pretty successful in being able to contact most. And we do know a lot of the students that didn't contact us already, so we're still chasing some of them down, but I'm confident we got a pretty good handle on who's coming on the 14th and who's going to be virtual. Okay. Mr. Sheldon, if we could just put up the freshman jumpstart schedule, please. Freshman Jumpstart is going to be Wednesday, September 9th. And if you look at the schedule that I had sent out to you regarding this week's activities, tomorrow afternoon we're asking that any teacher that has a freshman task, we will be meeting in the lecture hall to be able to discuss what the responsibilities are and what that freshman Jumpstart will look like. Annika and Grady have spent a lot of time putting this together, and thank them for that. But they will be we'll be discussing what the responsibilities are and what your opening day. Usually we have student leaders that come in and do this. We don't have them coming in, so we'll be asking for your assistance to help facilitate Jumpstart. So we'll do cohort A, and there's a mock schedule of what it looks like. Transportation is provided for students who have requested it. We're trying to figure out where the kids are going to eat right now because, like I said, the curveball, we may paint some white X's on the grass outside, and that will be their spot to eat. So the morning, 7:25 to 10:25, and then in the afternoon will be cohort B and transfer students. Will be in from 11:25 to 2:25. So there'll be 2 waves. They'll follow a mini schedule. Freshman teachers will be an opportunity to meet them and just to introduce yourself and go over some of the expectations of your classes and make them feel welcome. Lockers. I know how much fun that is as a task teacher to assign lockers. We are not issuing lockers as of right now. Students can request them when they come in if there's a special need for them, and we will issue them. We've looked at ways to schedule 6 feet distances with lockers, and when we clean out lockers the last day of school in a regular year, nobody uses them. So if there's a need, we will accommodate them. we will issue, when we open at 100%, not if, when we open at 100%, we will spend some time issuing lockers, and so every student has opportunity to use one. So that will take a little time out of the task piece. So, so that's what it looks like on Wednesday, September 9th. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll be meeting with freshman task teachers. The following afternoon on Thursday, we'll meet again as a faculty just to, because we won't see you technically until the 9th when students are in the building because of the 4-day, well, that's actually 5-day weekend. Tuesday's election day, the 8th. So when you come back on the 9th, we'll have students here in that morning, okay? If you've been in our building, obviously you've been in the building this morning. We are still acquiring some of our directional arrows for the hallways. They have came in last night, and as you can imagine, every school in the country is looking for these things. So we were fortunate to order a lot of these supplies around the 5th and 6th of July, anticipating we would need some of these. So that will be, they will be laid down with directional arrows, and you'll receive maps on what the school looks like for students coming into the building. We'll give you more specifics on the 9th for what the 9th looks like before you leave this by Friday, by Thursday afternoon. Okay, our hallways, fortunately, are wide enough to do two-way traffic. We will be shutting a couple of the stairwells for emergency use only because they are narrow, mainly the one by world language that comes down to Amanda Logan's classroom. It's too narrow. And the back math hallway will be a one-directional only, and you'll have that information. So as you have come into the building, I'm sure you've noticed that your desk may not be in the same place. And I know for a teacher, one of the big things is coming into a classroom and getting yourself set up and comfortable for your students. We have obviously had to do some things differently. If there is a need or a concern or something that you felt we can do a better job at, feel free to tell Mr. Sharlin. And we'll accommodate helping you get set up. They are 6 feet apart. They are based on your enrollment for your day. And you know, we tried to make it as seamless as possible for you coming back so you don't have to worry about reorganizing your classrooms. Maintenance has spent a lot of time this summer to working with us on trying to get things set up for you. If you do not have gloves, wipes, masks in your classroom or spray bottles, please see me, because every classroom should have that in there when you came in the building. If they're not there, please let me know and we'll make sure you have what you need. If you have a specific need for PPE outside of what we provide or what you need, please come see me and we'll do our best to accommodate you. I'm thinking of getting one of those lab coats that Mr. Fuller wears around. I think that would be kind of cool. But that being said, we'll have a few students in the building. We have masks that are clear. We have some students that will need to be able to read lips when you communicate. So there are some accommodations. Every child that will come back to school will be in a mask with the exception of 2. And they'll be in Mrs. Seneca's program. And if you have specific concerns with that, please see me. But I think we've got a pretty good handle on what we need to do as a building to safely open. This is the required part. And right now I would like to take an opportunity to thank our staff members. I won't say who they are in case you don't want to really credit them for that long report, which we're not going through all of it today, I promise you that. But they spent a lot of time working on the reopening task force this summer. And I've had opportunities to speak with them throughout the summer. It was helpful for me in a direction to take in planning how we open with schedules and reasoning, understanding. I'm not in a classroom every day, and I don't have all the answers. And my mind doesn't always work the same way that a teacher's mind works in a classroom, preparing for students to come in every day. So I appreciate their feedback, their honest feedback, and they were detrimental in making decisions for us and being able to come up with a plan where we're at now. So I want to thank them for their hard work. We had great representation from both the tech center as well as the high school, and they worked a lot over the summertime, giving up their summer to prepare that document. So Part of the document is the professional development that is required. There are some videos in here. We're asking you to be prepared to watch those right now. Also, it is your professional responsibility, everybody in this room, including myself, that you read this and become familiar with it. It is lengthy, but there are things in there that you need to know, and it's important that you are all on the same page when it comes to understanding this document. But right now there's a slideshow that the committee had put together. We're going to go through that with some videos. So we have returned to traditional teaching. I'm not going to read them to you, but here's the objective of why we're doing what we're doing to reopen schools. Go ahead, Grady. What is COVID-19? Like I said, I'm not going to read through every single one of them for you. Please take a moment to read through that. If you look on the right-hand side, there are symptoms. Again, this document was done and released, I believe, in the first part of August. One of the biggest things that we will talk about this morning is our screening process for all our staff as well as our students. Brooke Rhines is the Power School guru. If you've played around with Power School a little bit, you may have seen the tab on the top that asks you to self-assess. Every student and every staff member will be required before they come to school to fill that out. There's a spot for temperature, and there's a list of questions where you select yes or no and submit, and that will come to us to track where we're at. Okay, that is not 100% active right now. We're playing around with it to get all the bugs worked out. It was just approved last week, the end of last week, and Brooke is trying to get it set up for us as quickly as possible. The district will communicate with families on this particular screening process for all of us. I think it's pretty straightforward for us as faculty what we need to do. Yes, Billy? Yes. Yep. Yep. So we'll all have access to Power School. You have a Power School app on your phone. You're able to do that self-assessment before you come into school, and it submits to us. Okay, we do not have the people power to check everybody as they come through the door, as well as students being transported on buses. It kind of defeats the purpose if they're on a bus ride and we check them when they get here. Okay, so that's the process that will be coming out shortly regarding screening. Go ahead, Grady. I think if you read through this document, it's very in-depth with a lot of links on how we break the chain of transmission. And I think, as you know, weekly there's new information that comes out that we learn and we continue to learn, and these documents change. But please take the time to go through this document and read the responsibilities of breaking the chain of transmission. Don and Doff are two words that we've been using this summer. We've been having a little fun with it, and I think it's important. I think as we've learned throughout the summer, regardless of how you feel about it, it is proven that mask definitely reduces the transmission rates of COVID-19. So it's important that we follow that. And one of the big questions, and I'll talk about it now before we go into this video, is mask breaks while we're in school. I can tell you I will not leave that up to you to decide when and where you do this. I will come on once we get all the details worked out, and the infectious disease doctor that the district has hired has said a mask break can occur for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, I will make an announcement as a school. We will do it together per block. So we don't have one teacher doing it for 20 minutes, one teacher not doing it, one teacher doing for 15. So it's consistent throughout the day that we will make those announcements and announce that it is a mask break, and then when it was over, to put your mask back on. Okay, I thought, and if you have a better way to do this, please feel free to let me know, but I think consistency in this particular situation is as important as we need to be. And I think it's a lot of pressure. You have enough pressure in the classroom right now to have to worry about those things. So we will do that for you and be consistent throughout the building. Okay? I'm thinking it'll be about 8 to 10 minutes. All right? They'll also have opportunities when they're in the cafeteria with their mask will be off to eat and go from there. So, Mr. Charlin, if you want to click on that demonstration, please.
Hi, this is Dr. Joe Gastaldo, and I'm here to show you how to apply a facial mask. I am going to introduce you guys to some new words, donning and doffing, so you can now incorporate those words into your vocabulary. This is a clean mask that has been freshly laundered. I'm touching now only the elastic part of it. Before you put the mask on, you have to wash your hands, clean your hands, get rid of all of the germs, all the bacteria, all the viruses on your hands, because we want to keep this as antiseptic and clean as possible. So after your hands are clean, you only touch it on the elastic part, put it around my ear, make sure it's on there. I'm going to only touch it down here in the very bottom, get a nice seal, make sure my nose and my mouth are covered, and it's on. I could talk, I could sing, and the whole point of wearing the mask is to protect myself from giving the virus to other people in the event that I have asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic COVID-19. Having this mask on is going to help me protect from not spreading the virus to others. Taking it off is the same way. I'm only going to touch the elastic part and not touch the cloth. Remove it, it's off, dispose this and sanitize it, and the last thing you do is wash your hands before you touch anything after the mask is removed.
Okay, Mr. Charlin, we just want to move on to the next slide.
This is how COVID-19 is spread. Through air currents potentially carrying microscopic droplets full of coronavirus. When we talk, breathe, or cough. We can see this thanks to an imaging technique that lets us peer into the invisible world of airflow. And using this same technique, we can see if masks really do help to stop the spread of coronavirus.
Hey smart people, Joe here. If you've been feeling confused about masks, what they do, what they don't do, whether or not you should wear one, I hope this video will help. And since I'm all by myself at the moment, I don't need to wear this or this.
This is Matthew Staymates, a fluid dynamicist and mechanical engineer at the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And while stuck at home, he turned his garage into a lab. Using a technique called Schlieren imaging, he captured some incredible images of a world that's normally invisible to our eyes. If you've ever seen wavering distortions above a hot road, that fluttery mirage happens because different temperatures and densities of air bend light in different ways, like a fluid lens. And when we talk, warm air streams out of our mouths, meeting the sea of colder air around us. A Schlieren setup lets us see these tiny differences. A narrow source of light is bounced off a concave mirror towards a camera, with a thin metal blade blocking some of the focused light. As that light interacts with air and the space between, it's bent in ever so slightly different ways, creating shadows and bright spots in the final image. And as you can see in this video from my friend Derek at Veritasium, it lets us see everything from the helium coming out of a balloon to heat rising off of a candle. And at 250 frames per second, it shows us exactly why masks work to slow airborne infection. Now, it's important to remember that we can't see viral particles in these images. They're too small. But the viruses are carried on that breath just like a river carries fish.
In fact, an individual viral particle is smaller than the weave of most fabrics. So why does this work? Well, masks help in two interesting ways. First, it's important to understand that viruses don't float around alone. They fly out in droplets of moisture. Most droplets are heavy enough that they fall within 2 meters or so, but any person or object within that distance can get bathed in virus. And without a mask, some of those droplets can evaporate into super tiny particles of infection that can float on air currents far from your mouth or nose. And these micro droplets are extremely hard for any mask to filter out. But with a mask on, in the warm, humid space between your mouth and the mask, those larger droplets don't have time to evaporate, and they can be captured by common fabrics. If it feels hot and humid in here, that means it's working. And the second way that masks work is that any droplets that do get through now have less momentum. The air currents disperse in eddies and swirls instead of flowing away in streams, which means droplets won't travel as far. So which mask is the best mask? If it seems like recommendations change all the time, that's because doctors and scientists know more now than they did months ago. And they'll know more months from now than they do today, because that's exactly how science is supposed to work.
What we do know is whether you're using a bandana, an N95 mask, or a cloth mask you sewed at home, they all still have a lot of droplet blocking power. But that mask has to fit. This is almost like not wearing a mask at all. A mask that's too tight or has too many thick layers can actually force more air out the sides.
A good test is to see if you can blow out a candle through your mask from about 1 foot away. These Schlieren images are clear evidence that masks are effective, but the best science relies on multiple lines of evidence.
Here's an experiment that we did with someone talking through a sheet of laser light, illuminating all of the micro droplets released as we speak. With a mask, those droplets are all caught.
And this microbiologist sneezed, sang, talked, and coughed over petri dishes. A simple mask blocked nearly all of the germs, and even though this experiment detected bacteria and not viruses, they both leave our airway in the same respiratory droplets. It should be pretty clear to you now why masks work, and the body of research that proves that is getting stronger all the time. Links down in the description. But really, the most important question is, why should you wear a mask? You know, it's often said that masks aren't to keep you from getting sick, but to keep you from getting others sick. Wearing a mask can dramatically reduce the chance of spreading COVID, but that's a strange thing to think about, because you might think, well, I'm not sick. I've got a strong immune system, so I don't need to wear this. But we know that COVID-19 can go undetected, and almost half of infections may come from people who don't show symptoms. That could be you, or it could be the person next to you. And if it is, wouldn't you want them wearing a mask? They probably feel the same way about you. Can masks harm your health, like lowering your body's oxygen levels? No, that's a myth, and it's been tested over and over again by healthcare workers who work all day in masks. And masks won't stop the pandemic on their own. They're best used in combination with other safety measures like hand washing and physical distancing. Stereotypically macho people have actually been shown to resist masks more. I get it. Dudes, you don't feel cool, even though lots of cool dudes wear masks. Or maybe your nose itches, or your glasses fog up, your face is sweaty. That's no fun. I mean, I get it. For most people, wearing masks is new and weird and different. But there are lots of things that used to be weird and different until everyone just started doing them. I mean, umbrellas used to be viewed as completely feminine accessories for rich people and only used to shade the sun. Until one day, some masculine men decided that they were tired of getting rained on, and suddenly enough people were using umbrellas that they became like the most boring, socially acceptable thing ever. It's true, look it up. And most people didn't use condoms in sexual relationships until the risks of HIV and other infections pushed people to change their behavior. And now it's not only normal, it's a way to say, I respect you, and I want to protect both of us. This is also a sign that you want to protect others and have them protect you. And the sooner that this becomes part of everyone's normal everyday life, the sooner we can all get back to normal everyday life. In every pandemic in history, it's the actions and choices of individual people that have made the difference. A mask can stop a virus, but it also sends a message. We're all in this together. And that's something we all need to hear right now and every day. Stay curious. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope that you'll send it to somebody that you know that needs to hear this message. But remember, what we know from social psychology is that shaming people into wearing masks, that's not gonna work. So come at it with an open mind and an open heart, and we can all do this together. And like always, I'd like to thank everyone who supports the show on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you, this video or any other.
Okay, if we want to move on to the next slide, Mr. Sherlin. I think one thing we have learned, heard the word social distancing for so long, and I think this is a great caption here as far as we can still be social and nice to each other. And I think coming here today and just being able to talk to people and people that we've been looking at through screens for months, it really means a lot to all of us to be together. I think these precautions that you're reading about and probably are very much aware of is important for us to be able to continue to do what we do, and that is to teach kids. But there is a comfort of us, and I've said it several times this morning, of us being together. And it's important that we continue to follow these guidelines in order to keep our schools open. I think one of the things we've learned is the surfaces. I think cleaning surfaces. If you ever watch Pam, one of our custodians during the daytime, she's one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. On a normal school day, she is consistently wiping doorknobs and windowsills and anything that is touched by students throughout the course of the day. Her job has just gotten a lot more difficult, and we're hoping to bring some help in for her. But I think it's important. That's the wipes that are in your classrooms, as well as the spray and sanitation that can be used in the classrooms as well. It's really important that we continue to keep our surfaces clean. I think there's been some recent research that has come out that is looking at how long the virus actually stays on a surface. So those things change as weekly, but as of right now, we're practicing, and we will be wiping desks between classes as much as possible, as well as having our students use the wipes that are provided to wipe their desk between classes. I think one of the hand washing things, and we're going to watch 2 videos on hand washing, and the second video is the one that I think I'd like to thank Mrs. Kravitsky. She's the star of that video and is really useful and helpful information. And it's one of our teachers. So we're going to do this video first on proper hand washing, and then at the end, we'll be able to see Mrs. Kravitsky's video that was done I believe, in our tech center.
Hi everybody.
It's this one, I'm sorry. One video on hand washing.
As you learned in the last module, washing hands breaks the chain of infection in several ways. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is take off any jewelry that you have on and your watch. Because you're going to be sure to wash your wrists too. The next thing you're going to do is turn the water on. The water has to be warm. If it's too hot, it could damage the skin, and if it's too cold, you can't get a lather that you need. And as you know and you learn, lather traps pathogens. So you want to have a good lather. Okay. Once it's at the right temperature, which is warm, you're going to get enough soap so that you can create a good lather. And then you're going to start lathering, making sure that your fingertips are pointed down. You should lather for at least 20 seconds. You're going to start with the palms. And then you're going to go over, inside, over the other side, making sure to get every surface, and your lather can be a good indication to make sure that you get every area. When you're done with that, you're going to do your thumbs, making sure your fingers are pointed down. And then you're going to move up to your wrists. And that should take 20 seconds. Next, you're going to rinse your hands. Oh, we won't want to forget our fingernails, which you take and rub on the palm of your hand A nail brush is better, but you're not going to have a nail brush at all times. So we'll do this. I will see that I missed that area. And then you're going to rinse for at least 10 seconds, being careful not to touch the sides of the sink or you'll contaminate your hands. Never shake your hands when you're done. That's an infection control issue. You can attract more pathogens to your hands. So once you're done, you would have already got your paper towels ready. You're going to take your paper towel and put your hands up because the water going down your arms, taking a new area of the paper towel every time you wipe so you don't contaminate any area of your skin. You're going to leave the water running because you don't want to shut it off. It will contaminate. Okay? So we're going to do that. It's really important that you make sure that your hands are very dry. If you leave water on, then there could be pathogens in there. Okay? Then you're going to take a clean paper towel and shut off the sink and throw that away. And your hands are clean.
Thank you, Cheryl. You throw what? We move on to the next slide, please. We talked a little bit about this this morning and how we're going to account for it from through Power School in the morning for our students and for our staff. So here's just some important things to consider. I think travel has been, Dr. Chan from the state has changed a little bit. If you travel outside of the New England area in a personal car or vehicle and return to the state, you no longer have to self-quarantine. And that was in the information that Kathy sent out last week. So I know some of us travel for different events and family things, and I think it's important to understand what the requirements are. We are free to travel about without having a quarantine for 14 days in New England. But if you travel in a private car into an event or a family visitation in one state outside of New England, that is to be acceptable when you return to New Hampshire. Concern is trying to obviously cover classrooms for teachers that would need to quarantine. So that was clarified by Dr. Chan as schools around the state are returning to session. So here's some more additional information and professional development. And again, as it is your responsibility to read through this document as well as information that is provided to you from the state, from the federal government, as well as the work that has been done by our reopening task force. They spent a lot of time, teachers and your colleagues throughout the district this summer, putting together our resources, which was the groundwork for us to plan for our opening as we move forward. Mr. Sean? We talked a little bit about mask breaks, and I know that is going to be a question that we'll continue to work on for you. I want to give you a heads up that we had ordered plastic dividers that will be placed on your desk for every classroom in the district. Those are on back order as of right now. We do have layers of mitigation. We're required to have at least 2 in place, and you have space and you have a mask. And the third one would have been the desk dividers. They are coming, but they may not make it in time for school opening. So that has changed threw us a curveball a little bit in some of the things we're going to be doing from the administration side of things. But they are still 2 layers of mitigation in your classrooms, which is a mask and space. So does anybody have any questions right now on any information. Yes, Mrs. Smith. Yes. Well, I think we're going to give them the information. And as far as what, I mean, the responsibility is how kids take on and off their mask. I mean, I don't think that's a teacher's responsibility, but I think we can educate them as we educate ourselves. I think I touch my face more now that I have a mask, and it's just kind of a habit. So, so to say that they got to have to do it a specific way, we'll give them the information. Yes, in the back. Yep. Well, let me get you the answer for that, Chef. And see, let me check with maintenance and see where they're at with that, because I know that has been a discussion. Yep. Yep. I know that is on their list of things to address. I'm not sure where they're at with that. Anybody else? There's logistics that we haven't discussed with you yet as far as traffic flow, and we're finalizing our traffic flow patterns for students as well as families as well as staff with our police department tomorrow morning. Parking, where you have parked, will continue to be the same. We will be doing drop-off with our families in front of the Arts Center. So we haven't quite figured out. We did graduation when they came in, went around. That worked very well for students to be dropped off. Teachers can still park on the side of the high school as well as where they've always parked. It may be bus traffic only, with exception of staff members. Please make sure you just have your staff ID with you, because not everybody out there every day may recognize you, and it may be a middle school administrator as well. So just be prepared. We're trying to keep traffic flowing, although it is 50% of what we usually have, but we still will have 22 buses running. So that's significant in the morning when the students get here, as well as parents drop off for grades 7 through 12 in front of the Arts Center. Okay? Those logistics are just about there. We've been working. One of the hardest parts for us as administrators and as staff members is we like to plan. You know, teachers like to plan what's going to happen. I like to plan what's going to happen, and I haven't been able to do that till really about last Tuesday. Finalized plans were finalized. We've been doing a lot of planning with not knowing what the approval was. So we have that, and I feel good where we're at in that sense. But there's still some things that we're working out, and I will communicate with you as this information comes in. If you have questions, feel free to see me directly, Mr. Sharland. Academic coordinators, you'll be meeting with them. They can funnel questions to us as well. Support staff, feel free to come see me. I want to make sure that you have a successful opening, and your job is to teach, and we're going to do our best to make sure that that's what you'll be able to do with as little distractions as possible of opening a school in a pandemic. But again, I think when we see our students in the building, it's going to create some sense of normalcy, and I'm excited to welcome them back here on the 14th. Any other questions? Yes. I'm not sure about the district, but I don't think it's a great number here at the high school, maybe 5. We have 125 who decided to choose 100% virtual, which is our program through the school district, but only 5 have gone to homeschool. Yes, Ken? Yes, they'll be given Chromebooks to go home, and they'll be using school devices, not their own personal devices in the classroom at this time. Any other questions? again, as I said, I think, you know, we will do our best to foresee every little issue that's going to come up. But I think it's important that we move forward. I think lockers, students maintain, they use their lockers, but again, as I said, when we clean out at the end of the year, they don't always use them. Yes, Judy. They can bring their phones. Anything else? It's I know you'll have some time today to work in departments as well as in your classrooms, and I think as I built the schedule for the 2 weeks, I think it's important for you to get comfortable in your classroom, and I've been respectful of your time, and I'll continue to do that, but I do think it's important that we continue to meet over the next 2 weeks to make sure that any questions are answered. I'll do my best to answer them and move forward to the process of opening school, which I think is our goal, and it's our community's goal to have our kids back in school. And that was heard loud and clear from our community. Our results showed, our survey results are about 72% of families want their kids in school. So that's clear. Yes, Chris? No, I don't think you need to be taping the floor. I think custodians, if there's a concern, you know, if your furniture is being moved, see one of the maintenance people, and we can measure, but I don't think we're going to be taping on the floor. Any other questions? Quiet. Usually you hear the buzz in the lecture hall when everybody gets together for the first time and talk and talk and talk, but I do want to welcome you back. It is good to see you. It's been a long time that we've been together as an entire faculty, and I'm taking comfort in that. I have a lot of respect for what you do on a daily basis, and I'm looking forward for us to continue that work. And it's going to be challenging, I'm not going to lie, but we need to take one day at a time and move forward. And today was a big step for me, in my sense, that we've been talking about these things since the day graduation ended, how we were going to do graduation. And here we are. It's another step in the process, and it's important to welcoming staff back. That's a big step. We're here, and we're going to open school. I wasn't sure about that 3 weeks ago. So I think we're making progress, and it's important that we continue to make progress, and you guys will do a great job. I have 100% confidence in that. And I'm looking forward to seeing students. And we'll see our 9th graders on September 9th. And feel free to come see me over the next 2 weeks with any questions or concerns. Okay? Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.